Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sixth installment of the Clubhouse Conversation series where I, Patrick Ellington, host and producer, am interviewing individuals throughout baseball, whether they be players, coaches, managers, scouts, individuals in front offices, etc. Black individuals in these roles who participate in professional baseball in America. And this is a comprehensive series where I kind of am trying to reverse the narrative that baseball isn't a black sport because historically that's not true, and also just trying to give more visibility and celebrate these individuals as well. And I forgot to mention I'm also interviewing black writers. So today's guest is a very special guest. I have with me Teddy Blackwell, the medical coordinator for the Cleveland Indians. Is that correct?
Yeah, minor league medical administrator.
Minor minor league medical administrator. He's worked for the Indians organization for over 30 years, around 30 years. And I'm gonna pass off to Teddy. How you doing today?
Doing good, doing well. Thank you for this opportunity. Looking forward to the conversation.
hmm Okay, so Teddy, let's start off. Did you grow up a big baseball fan, and just go through your path to how you got into baseball, how you got into the front office of the Indians in 1988.
So I guess as a kid, I enjoyed, playing baseball. I played rec baseball, played, up until I got to high school. And just when I got to high school, you know, wasn't wasn't as good as I needed to be, to continue playing. But I enjoyed being around sports, so found other avenues to stay around sports, and kind of got into sports medicine, athletic training in high school. Went on to Elon College at the time, now Elon University, to do some athletic training, there, and study business administration. While at Elon, back in 1988, the Cleveland Indians had a minor league team, one of their rookie teams in Burlington, North Carolina, and they reached out to an athletic trainer at Elon looking for a summer intern, and so he recommended me. And, in 1988, I started out as a summer intern with the Burlington Indians. And that was a, 3-month position. And then, went back to Elon, 1989, graduated. And then the Indians offered me a full-time position as a minor league athletic trainer. And, here we are 32 years later.
Okay. So go through your what do you do exactly? And go over how that kind of how your roles have expanded throughout the years that you put in the organization and throughout your tenure. Kind of your path through the up the ladder, I should say.
So originally when I started out on the field, and again, as an athletic trainer. So that's, just providing medical care for the players. When I initially started out, that also, we didn't have strength and conditioning coaches like we have now. So, you had to kind of assume some of those responsibilities. We didn't have necessarily the clubhouse guys that, every team has now. So, when I started out, we had to do laundry, we had to do player care. It's just, I mean, you had a lot of different responsibilities. And just, through the years, we've progressively gotten better. Everybody has, full-time clubhouse staff. Everybody has, every club has a strength and conditioning coach. So, those responsibilities have kind of been taken off your plate. So, 5 years ago, I transitioned into the minor league medical administrator. So a lot of it is admin. And then I travel with I am doing a lot with our Latin American program. I'm just, kind of overseeing and helping mentor some of our athletic trainers that are in the Dominican, um, and then just, also same thing in the States, kind of being a mentor, sharing from my experiences, learning from the guys that we have, and then, just kind of making sure our medical records, medical appointments and things like that are, in line.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've been in the medical sector of baseball and in sports in general, I should say, just as we've seen the leap in technology over the last 30ish years also intersect over into the medical field where we see guys able to recover from injuries better. We see the norms change and how injuries are observed, certain injuries are observed, and even arm care for pitchers and for position players being cared for throughout the season. We see guys playing 162 games less now just to get a day off or get switched over to being a designated hitter to get half a day off, I should say. And I want to know your perspective on the things you've seen change over the years with how the medical side of the game is being viewed and emphasized and being more important now as we've seen this advent technology coming to the play.
Yeah, definitely technology is a big part. When I initially started out, we didn't use or have access to, MRIs, to, just getting X-rays as, rapidly, as we have that, at our, just, our capability of getting those read, and it's just another tool in the box. So, it kind of, helps kind of solidify some of the decisions, and, where we are now with, some of the monies that people are making and getting paid. You need to know some of those decisions, maybe, today, not tomorrow. In the past, we, we had more time, or we took more time, because it was a longer process. So, surgeries have gotten better. Tommy John surgeries, 20 years
ACLs,
ago,
knees, and
was
all that
a
too.
right, was a career, potential career ender. Now you see kids getting drafted out of high school and college, in your top rounds, right after having surgery. So, teams feel more comfortable with their staffs. We feel more comfortable, with the rehab processes. So, definitely technology and just the growth in the medical field, has been a game changer.
Absolutely. So you're around the minor leaguers or a lot, I presume, and you talked about mentoring a lot of the medical trainers in Latin America. So I assume you speak a little Spanish or um
So I understand Spanish, but I
okay.
speak very little. Yeah, so my
Okay.
Spanish is, a lot of broken English.
So
But,
Spanglish.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But, we do a really good job. We have a educational system in place for our Latin American speaking players. So, we have an English teacher in the DR. We have English, teachers, or they take English classes here in the States as well. So, I think that's kind of helped with the, transition from the DR to the States. A lot of
Absolutely.
lot of our kids are, eager to learn Spanish. I mean, eager to learn English. And, just a lot of the older players are, just letting them know how important, not just from a baseball standpoint, but just from a, quality of living standpoint in the States, it is to have to be able to speak and understand the language.
Absolutely. As we've seen, more visibility put on international signings, and international prospects. Since like the J2 signing period started getting more coverage, it seems like a lot of people have forgotten how big it is that we remember that these are 16 to 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds coming to a completely different country with completely different social norms and what they grew up in, and how they might be homesick, and the adjustments they're making off the field and just living. In addition to the adjustments they have to make on the field, it just makes baseball a really hard game that much harder. And I really like how you emphasize the educational factor, because that's very important to me, as we see how Latin America itself is such a pipeline for professional baseball in the United States, that um, teams responsibly understand their role in making sure that these guys can adjust and get a chance to adjust and learn language in order to help them and possibly worry less off the field, and they can focus on the game more. Um, so what has been what's your role as it is right now? You kind of are a mentor, you're training, you're doing an experience, but you're probably communicating with the front office about medical practices that the organization's using, surgeries, etc. You're probably communicating with doctors and do a lot of research and reading and things like that. So how do you stay at your sharpest and also develop and learn more in order to continue to grow as in your role?
Yeah, and I think from an organization and from a medical standpoint, we do a lot of continuing ed amongst our staff and amongst each other. So we're constantly challenging each other. We're constantly reviewing articles, or just kind of seeing what's out in the medical field, and listening to doctors. And yes, I do kind of travel around with our players to doctor's appointments. So you get different perspective, different opinions. But then we bring that back, and we have a team of doctors, and we have a medical point person in Cleveland. And we'll get together, and ultimately we're making the best decision with the players' input, the front office, the medical staff. We're just trying to make the best decision for that player. A lot of times it's like, hey, is this driven for the organization? In the long term, the player you know has the ultimate say so. And we're just trying to provide them with as much information as possible, and just trying to educate them on the information that we're providing them with.
I'm sure having the organization you work for in Cleveland, right by Cleveland Clinic, is a huge like treasure trove for you to get to play with and to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, it's a awesome resource. I mean, probably, I mean, not probably, we are one of the few teams that we could probably send any player to one location, and be able to facilitate any needs. We do have a phenomenal team of doctors and just resources from the Cleveland Clinic. So yes, that's it's awesome.
Okay, so you've seen 30 years you've seen 30 years of the organization's history, just from your position. What's what's been some moments of your career that are already gonna stick with you? It could be a good story. What's something you're never gonna forget, you're gonna kind of carry with you, just experience you've had so far.
I mean, I think just seeing the change, being here, being a part of losing 100 games,
Hmm.
and then being a part of winning 100 games. So I think it's the change, but I think the one big thing about being here with the Indians is the continuity. It's a lot of people with a lot of years, that have stayed here, and then the people that have left, if you look around, it's a lot of former, Cleveland Indians people that are
Absolutely.
out in baseball, head athletic trainers, big league managers, just roving coordinators.
Front office
So
members.
right, front office members. So, I think it's a great pipeline uh, for baseball, but it's a great place to grow and develop. Um, you know, if you stay here as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to bring up because you really came right before, you really came at the same time as they really the roots of that the front office tree that has grown to want to be one of the best front office trees in the history of baseball. That kind of started in the late '80s, early '90s, right before the '90s innings happened. But the continuity, is really there in the front office tree, and it's kind of cool to see how it's kind of extended and you personified as well on the medical side. And I'm sure you have coworkers that you worked with for 20, 30 years also, and you probably remember seeing Chris Anthony as an intern or something, and him rise up the ranks, and Mike Chernoff and etc. So the rapport is probably a big deal in trying to solve things and be the best organization you can be in order to put the best team on the field at the end of the day, and to keep guys healthy. So, um, you've we've gone over the medicals, but how much input do you have on training methods to keep these guys durable and things like that? Also,
Again, I think it's all a collective. Um, it's we work together as a group. I mean,
right?
we work together with the strength and condition. We work together, with our nutrition staff.
Okay,
So, it's just a lot of people, getting together again,
and collaborating.
yes, collaborating, with the information that we get, and then trying to develop, not just plans and programs for the group, but we do, it's individualizing plans for each player.
Okay,
So taking, we do, physical exam tests, we get measurements and, taking those measurements and then trying to implement that into, a daily, weekly program, for these kids, educating them, on the importance of nutrition, sleep. So, again, we just we have a team, it's not necessarily one individual. We have a team of people that are working and, gathering information. And then, we're taking this information and, we're trying to utilize it best to help the team overall, but, each individual personally.
okay. So, do you guys use a model for these systems, or do you kind of just go when you judge each player individually, and when you have meetings, or do you guys kind of just go truly individualized and kind of just adjust and aggregate your what the plans are just based on these players?
Yeah, I would say, it's an individual, it's more individualized.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry if that
than
was
anything.
redundant. I apologize.
No, no, that's okay. Yeah, I would say it's more individualized.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, if you had to kind of tell somebody what your role is now in three sentences in order to kind of simplify to them what you do, and what would you say? Because we've kind of gone a lot of places now. I want to get a gist, just from you, just so I can have a good snippet to present to people, when
Yeah.
I publish this.
I would say, um, you know, a a mentor. Um, I would say um, that's tough. Three sentences. That's a tough.
If you can, you can. It doesn't matter. I just said three sentences just because. I
Yeah,
mean, if
yeah.
you go
No, but
longer than that, then
I would say, it's a mentor, for our medical staff. It's a, I'm a additional resource for the organization as far as player care, player management, and then, um, yeah, that's. I mean, that's probably about it.
okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of go into a different sector, with you being a black man in the medical field, and you're probably one of the longest tenured black individuals in a front office in pro baseball. I would say I would probably be right to say that just by the length that you've had. Even though it's kind of come with relative anonymity, but I don't mean to say that in jest or anything. But um, with the norms of medicine and how sometimes that could come at the expense of black people just based on the social norms of America and stuff. Um, have you tried to, carry that into in your career and notice that and try and combat it, and also being a mentor to other and an example for other black people that want to be medical professionals, whether it be in sports or just in general?
Yes, I would think so. Definitely try to encourage kids, our kids, kids of color, to look at baseball, to, give baseball a chance, just talk to their parents or whatever. And, not necessarily just as planned, but just, the other opportunities. Having a son that played baseball, having a son that, fairly intelligent, just trying to navigate that and navigate, how we guided him as far as, you know, let him make his own decisions as far as baseball. Would I have loved to see him be an athletic trainer or going to the medical field and be an orthopedic surgeon for a sports team? Yes, but again, that's individual, and it's you kind of have to have that desire, um, within yourself, I think, as well. So, whenever, people approach me or, kind of talk to me about my experiences, definitely open to sharing the negatives and the positives, as far as baseball, and as far as being on the medical side. I would say, just being an athletic trainer is, I mean, we interact with our doctors, and it's still, somewhat different. So I would say I probably talk more to people about, the sports medicine side of it as opposed to the, MD side of it.
Okay. That makes that was a great response. So, um, I'm gonna end this interview here. I have with me Teddy Blackwell, minor league medical director for the Cleveland Indians organization. He's been working for the Cleveland Indians for 30, 30. How many years specifically?
32.
32 years. And and also shout out to his son Randy Blackwell for reaching out to him on my behalf and getting his interview together. Randy, I really appreciate you, bro. This really means a lot to get to talk to someone with as much experiences and much knowledge as Teddy Blackwell. So, Teddy, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate this a lot.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.